In the beginning, the Creator formed the Wheel of Time with 7 spokes, each representing a different age. The wheel turned through the power of the true source and was like a loom, using living beings as threads to weave the pattern of the ages. Yet when the wheel came into existence, so too did a being of pure evil, a cosmic force known as the Dark One, which was imprisoned outside the pattern. The Dark One wanted nothing more than to destroy the Wheel of Time, after which it might recreate the universe in its own image. Given the dark nature of this being, many wondered why the Creator would allow it to exist. Yet some believe that human traits such as selfishness, greed, and violence came from the existence of the Dark One, and so his presence allowed sapient beings free will to choose the path of their own lives. Whereas the Dark One sought desperately to interact with the world and the beings within, the Creator had made the world and then left humankind to make of it what they would, a heaven or the pit of doom by their choosing. The Creator had made many worlds, watched each flower and die, and gone on to make endless worlds beyond. A gardener did not weep for each blossom that fell. Within one of the many worlds formed by the Creator, the true source could be accessed through use of the One Power, a form of magic which casts spells of earth, spirit, water, air, and fire. This energy was divided into 2 opposing forces, called Shaitan, channeled by men, and Saidar, channeled by women, and through the use of this power, created mighty empires and great civilizations of advanced technologies, reigning over long periods of peace. Yet a lasting peace was not to be found, as free will constantly led humanity to become divided, warring against each other and destroying the progress achieved. Although humans and other sapient beings could change the pattern of the ages in small ways as they lived their lives, the overall pattern could not be disrupted. When someone's actions or a great event started to alter the design, the Wheel of Time sent a being with unique abilities known as a Taviran to correct the pattern. These beings can range in their power and influence, and while their existence is necessary, they are known to bring times of great struggle and hardship to the people around them. The Taviran themselves live lives of destiny and do not possess the same level of free will as other beings, as they were spun out of the wheel for a specific purpose and are driven to complete their task. Although no one can know how many times the wheel has spun, items and constructs from previous ages sometimes survived into later time periods and gave glimpses of both the past and possibly the future. The first spoke on the wheel seemed to represent the first age, and some have come to believe that this reflects a period of time in which humans named their planet Earth. Stories from later ages speak of mighty heroes and events from this era, such as Len, who flew to the moon in the belly of an eagle made of fire, and Salia, his daughter, who walked among the stars. This may be in reference to the astronauts John Glenn and Sally Ride, flying into space aboard a rocket ship. There was the War of Giants between Mosk and Merc, who possessed spears or lances of fire that could reach around the world, which may be the Soviet Union and United States of America, who developed nuclear weapons capable of traveling great distances. There are also references to Elsbeth, Queen of All, who may be Queen Elizabeth, and Mataris the Healer, mother of the wondrous Ind, which may be Mother Teresa. Paintings and artifacts have also been found, which may refer to the First Age, like images of giraffes and a relic with a 3-pronged star, which may possibly be a hood ornament from a Mercedes-Benz. Some also believe that portal stones used to travel instantly across the world may have been developed in this time. After the events of these years came the Second Age, better known as the Age of Legends, when Aes Sedai channeled the One Power as Saidin and Saidar, using their abilities to help forge an advanced civilization. Though only a small percentage of the population was born with these abilities, they grew to be extremely powerful and could amplify their magic through the use of an Angriel, Sa-Angriel, and Ter-Angriel, yet all were held to account by the Hall of Servants, who prevented abuses of power. Led by a worldwide parliament or council of democratically elected officials, the central seat of government was found in the city of Paradisen. Having eliminated poverty, all basic needs were met and life expectancy rose to between 150 and 200 years, while some Aes Sedai could live to be over 700. Other technologies of this age include glow bulbs, which provided light without the need of recharging or replacement, 4-wheeled jokars, floater jokars which hovered above the ground, show wings used to travel overseas, and a process called skimming, which could be used to slip into the void and quickly re-emerge in another location. location. They also used portal stones activated by the One Power to travel to other dimensions and worlds within the universe of the Wheel. Having passed beyond viewing material wealth as a measure of status, respect and recognition could only be gained through service to the community. In this way, they might earn a third name, which was only granted to those of high reputation. During this age, a man by the name of Lus Theron Telamon rose to become first among the Aes Sedai, sitting atop the high seat and wearing the ring of Tamerlin, able to summon the 9 rods of dominion. In addition to being a great leader and brave warrior, he was the most powerful Aes Sedai alive, rivaled only in ability by Elan Morin Tedronai, a great philosopher and theologian. Although stories make this age seem like a utopian society, there were in fact a great number of social problems growing beneath the surface, which were largely being ignored by the ruling government. And while these underlying issues may have grown larger in time, civilization actually began to collapse with the discovery of a new source of magic. Ever eager to expand their knowledge, Aes Sedai researchers Miren Eronai and Bedoman from the University of Kolam Dan discovered a new source of energy that was unlike the One Power in that it was a unified force and did not need to be divided into male and female halves. Choosing the Sharom, a large floating white spear above their university, as the site for their experiment, they attempted drilling a hole into the pattern of reality in order to access the true power beyond. Unfortunately, what they had actually discovered was the prison of the Dark One, and by creating an opening known as the Boar, Shaitan, as he became known, was now able to directly influence the world. The resulting explosion then destroyed the Sharom, and with the dark touch of Shaitan now loose in the world, a once tranquil island was transformed into the dark mountain known as Sheol Ghul, which was surrounded by a desolate wasteland, and became the focal point of the Dark One's power, where the Boar could be located. Over the next century, many turned to worship the Dark One, embracing violence, selfishness, and greed. A number of powerful Aes Sedai also joined him in the hopes of great reward and positions of privilege in his new order, such as Ishar Morad Twain, later known as Agenor, who created the Shadowspawn races such as Trollocs to serve as the main army of the Dark One. Yet of all the noteworthy figures who went over to the darkness, none were more important than Elan Morin Tedronai, the great intellectual who rivaled even Lewis Theron in magical ability. Later known as Ishamael, the betrayer of hope, he was unique among the followers of the Dark One in that he did not join because of a desire for power or position, nor did he join to gain access to the true power, which made them capable of magic beyond that of the One Power. Rather, he made his decision using reason and logic to determine that the victory of darkness over the light was inevitable. Elan became increasingly convinced that the 7 ages of the Wheel of Time were repeating in an unending loop, and that in every rotation, the Dark One's direct influence was to be unleashed upon the world. And so in order for the wheel to continue on, the people of the world would have to unite and fight back against the darkness, finding a way to seal him back into his prison. However, this meant that the forces of light would have to constantly fight this battle over and over again for eternity just to survive, whereas the Dark One only had to achieve victory one time in order to destroy the wheel entirely. Seeing no point in resisting the inevitable, Elan embraced the Dark One and allowed himself to become first among the Forsaken, wanting nothing more than to end the cycle of existence. However, because his reasons for joining the Dark One differed greatly from the others, he did not sneak off and join Shaitan in secret, instead going directly to the Hall of Servants and announcing his plans before all the Aes Sedai, sparking outrage among those in attendance. Following the years of collapse, when society significantly regressed, the War of Shadow erupted, seeing the Forsaken and their armies of Shadowspawn spread violence and chaos throughout the world. Although the fighting went back and forth, after a decade of war, Lus Theron Telamon, known as the Dragon, defeated Ishamael at the gates of Paradisen. Yet this was not enough to end the war, and so Lewis Theron developed a plan to seal the Boar at Sheol Ghul using 7 Heartstone seals. However, in addition to the 6 male Aes Sedai needed, 7 powerful female Aes Sedai must also be involved to complete the mission successfully. But the female Aes Sedai rejected his plan, coming up with their own involving 2 Sa'angriel, which might create a a shield over the bore. However, after suffering further attacks from the forces of the Dark One, this plan became impossible, but still they did not support Lews Therin. After an attack against Paradisen, the dragon decided to go forward with his plan, without the aid of the female Aes Sedai, and would march to Sheol Ghul, alongside 113 male Aes Sedai companions, followed by an army of 10,000 warriors. After battling the Forsaken and their dark armies, Lews Therin and his people made it to the bore and successfully managed to place the seals, closing the hole in the Dark One's prison. In addition, they were able to trap the 13 most powerful Forsaken as well, save for Ishamael, who was only partially imprisoned, able to return to the world for roughly 4 decades every 1,000 years. And while the plan of Lews Therin succeeded in its primary mission, it required using shai'tan to directly touch the darkness, which allowed Shaitan to perform a counterstroke, tainting the male half of the One power. This taint then led male Aes Sedai into madness, using their mighty powers to wreak havoc and chaos upon the world. Lews Therin also went mad and used his powers to kill his beloved wife Ilyena, as well as all his friends and family. Yet his insanity was so severe that he could not recognize his own actions, and spent his days wandering around the ruins of his home, searching for his wife and children. Because Ishamael was only partially imprisoned, he was able to appear before his hated enemy Lews Therin and use the true power to heal his madness, so that he might see the horrors committed by his own hand. Lews Therin was so distraught over the death of his family that he teleported far away and killed himself with a great explosion of magic that created Dragonmount. Yet according to the prophecies from the Karaethon cycle, the dragon would one day be reborn to once again fight against the Shadow. As the world fell to chaos, those among the 100 companions who survived the battle at Sheol Ghul went on to abuse shai'tan to such an extent they caused the reshaping of continents. Eventually, the surviving female Aes Sedai were able to track down the last remaining male channelers and killed them, or else gentled their mind, stripping them of their ability to use the One power. And so, with the breaking of the world, they entered into the Third Age. Love audiobooks? Then be sure to check out Audible, where they have the world's largest collection available. Simply sign up through the link in the description box below and get 2 free audiobooks to start out. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Kagor the Reborn Snow, Oliver Otterborn, Zach of All Trades Trials, and Justo Sparrowhawk. If you would like to help CivilizationEx, click on the Patreon link, and please be sure to like and subscribe, and click on the links to see more.